Wittgenstein's Tractatus in 15 minutes. Ludwig Wittgenstein's Tractatus Logico-Philosophicus is one of those books that's often talked about but rarely truly understood. It's a dense, almost cryptographic work published in 1921 that set the entire landscape of 20th century philosophy ablaze. But don't let the scholarly air intimidate you. Think of it less as a dry academic text and more as a deeply earnest attempt by a brilliant young mind to draw the ultimate line in the sand, to define precisely what we can and cannot meaningfully say. The radical aim, finding the limits of language. The core, radical project of the Tractatus is to establish the limits of language, and, in doing so, the limits of thought. Wittgenstein believed that most traditional philosophical problems, like metaphysics, ethics, and aesthetics, were not deep, unsolvable mysteries, but rather linguistic confusions. They were the result of philosophy trying to say things that couldn't possibly be said using language. The structure of the book is famously unique. 7 main numbered propositions, with decimals indicating commentary, e.g. 1, 1.1, 1.11, 2, etc. It flows like a strict logical proof, but its conclusions are anything but cold. Piece. The picture theory. How language connects to reality. Propositions 1 to 3. Wittgenstein starts with the fundamentals of reality and how we represent it. Proposition 1. The world is everything that is the case. This sounds obvious, but it's crucial. The world isn't a collection of things, it's a collection of facts. A chair is a thing, but the chair is under the table is a fact. Proposition 2. What is the case? The fact is the existence of states of affairs. A state of affairs is a minimal, possible combination of objects. If you imagine the cat is on the mat, the objects are cat and mat, and the relationship on links them. This is the ultimate basic unit of reality. Proposition 3. A logical picture of facts is a thought. This is where the famous picture theory of language comes in. Our thoughts and sentences are pictures of possible facts. For a sentence to be meaningful, it must share a logical form with the fact it represents. Imagine a model of a car crash. The model, despite being miniature, represents the real-world event because it shares the same spatial arrangement, form, with the real crash. Similarly, a sentence like, "The sky is blue," is a logical picture because the arrangement of the words mirrors the logical arrangement of the objects, sky, blueness, and their relation in the world. If there is no possible fact in the world that corresponds to the structure of the sentence is meaningless, though it might still be grammatical. X. Logic and meaning, the scaffolding of sense. Propositions 4 to 6. Next, Wittgenstein clarifies the role of language and logic. Proposition 4. The thought is the significant proposition. A proposition, a sentence, is an assertion of a possible state of affairs. Its sense is independent of whether the state of affairs actually exists. For example, "There are 3 suns" makes sense, even though it's false. Proposition 5. Propositions are truth functions of elementary propositions. This is technical but vital. All complex sentences are ultimately built from elementary propositions, the simplest atomic sentences that picture a single state of affairs. Logic provides the scaffolding for combining these elementary propositions using logical operators like and, or, and not. Logic itself, however, doesn't say anything about the world. It just shows how statements relate to each other. It's like the rules of grammar for thought. Proposition 6. The general form of a truth function is, followed by a complex logical formula. This proposition essentially formalizes everything that came before, declaring that this logical formula is the general structure of all possible meaningful propositions. It's the ultimate logical blueprint for language. S. The Great Silence. What Can't Be Said. Proposition 7. This is the famous earth-shattering conclusion of the Tractatus. If the only meaningful propositions are those that picture facts in the world, what about philosophy, ethics, religion, and the meaning of life? Wittgenstein concludes that the meaning of life, value, and God, all the things we often think of as higher, do not exist in the world as facts, and therefore cannot be pictured by language. They are transcendental, meaning they lie outside the limits of the sayable. Philosophical statements, ethical judgments, and metaphysical assertions are therefore deemed senseless, not false, but outside the realm of sense. Wittgenstein doesn't say these things aren't important, quite the opposite. He says they are the things that are most important, but they can only show, not said. They reside in the realm of the mystical. He sees his own book, the Tractatus, as a ladder one must climb up and then throw away. All his propositions, since they try to talk about the essence of language and the world, which itself can't be pictured, are ultimately also senseless. The goal of the book is achieved when the reader finally understands this and sees the world correctly. That is, understands the correct use of language and realizes that genuine philosophical insight requires silence on the most profound matters. Proposition 7. Whereof one cannot speak, thereof one must be silent. X. Beyond the text, the Tractatian legacy. In just 15 minutes, we've raced through a decade of philosophical upheaval. The Tractatus ultimately provided a rigorous philosophical foundation for logical positivism, the idea that the only meaningful statements are those verifiable by science or those that are purely logical or mathematical. Yet, Wittgenstein himself later rejected many of its central doctrines in his subsequent work, The Philosophical Investigations, ushering in a whole new philosophical approach. Its lasting brilliance is its relentless honesty. It doesn't just offer a theory of language, it sets the boundary for human inquiry, challenging us to look past the empty chatter and recognize the profound value in the things that simply show themselves but can never be spoken. If this deep dive into the world's most fascinating philosophy has sparked a thought, don't keep it to yourself. Drop a comment below with your biggest takeaway or any lingering questions. If you found this breakdown enlightening, please smash that like button. It genuinely helps us reach more curious minds. And for more original content that tackles the